ready to make a movie. Here's a girl and a gun. Come along and join the party while we stare at the sun.
Hello and welcome to A Girl and a Gun Live, coming to you from the SMPTE 2013 show. Here we are on the show floor.
How live
Hello
could
everyone.
that possibly be?
Thank you to our Steadicam operator there, brilliantly done. The show for filmmakers and content creators. I am Phil Moore and you are...
I'm John Mazels, thank you very much.
Brilliant.
And we're coming to you live from SMPTE 13, or if you're watching this on replay, we're not coming to you live at all, but this is all coming out of the student video project we've been running here at SMPTE 13 in 2013, because that's when a 13th thing happens.
Yeah, that's thankfully.
And we've produced some amazing stuff. So I was told that up to last night, we'd produced 48 packages, which have all been aired and then they've been put
Which will become part of our regular online streaming thing in the next few weeks.
Yeah,
yes.
and of course we'll be reusing that because that's what you do. You know, it's actually, it's not called plagiarism, it's called repurposing. We've also done 3 Girl and a Guns live to air, which has
so
been
far, and this is our 4th.
This, of course, is the 4th. This one a bit different. So we're not coming from the temporary studio now. We're coming from the Charles Sturt University outside broadcast truck. But we're still coming from the floor of the show.
And this is, our previous shows have been like half an hour. This is going to run a bit longer this time.
We are. We've got lots of people coming up. So on the show today, we'll be talking about prompters. Richard Farr from Prompted, an Australian manufacturer, will be coming down.
We've got a few Australian manufacturers
We do, and we'll be focusing on that as well. Adobe Creative Cloud.
And I wanted to talk about Adobe because they've just released the Creative Cloud suite and there's been some controversy about the new subscription model, so let's sort out what they say about that.
Who knew that Atomos was an Australian company? I've seen, they're like the Samurai, suddenly came from nowhere in 2012, takes over the industry, and it's actually all coming out of Melbourne.
So they're right here, they're coming into show and tell.
And they're coming into, we're going to be a big show and tell for that, which would be great. GoPro, they're coming down with all of their Hero 3 and other bits and pieces to show, yes. We've got some really cute little devices that we'll bring out a little later and show you.
Other guests we have, look, we've got some other packages, some of the packages that we talked about earlier, that we've, how many were there, 40 something?
Yeah, 48 packages.
So we'll show you some of those in this show. Drones and lighting and
there's been a lot
like
of that stuff, hasn't there? There's been lots of little knickknacks. There's been big stuff. There's a lot of audio desks, a lot of big, large format audio and
a lot of
new
wireless
radio
solutions around as well.
Very much, and we'll be talking to somebody from Box a little later about the camera wireless solutions. Isn't that so much fun when you're trying to demonstrate high technology at a trade show? Now, look, we've had the conference running for the last 3 days.
The show floor is only half of it. Yes, the conference is the other.
The conference very important, and I think we had well over 60 papers presented on that. One that I thought was really interesting was on the topic of audio-video bridging, AVB. This is how we're going to send signals around the way of the future. So at the moment, it was composite video, and then it was digital on SDI and HD SDI, but AVB brings this to life on a networking infrastructure. But not only does it do that, it allows you to send everything to everywhere.
See, this is the hardcore techie stuff that a lot of the show is about, which is really important for the infrastructure of what we're doing.
Exactly.
But I'm trying to get in a few sexier things, like the GoPros and other stuff there and the lighting.
But then there was other,
really what I'm interested in.
Other conference papers, like the one yesterday on the George Miller movie.
Well, that was the one I was particularly interested in, Fury Road, the new Mad Max film.
Which is finally in production. I mean, the crew was in Africa for, 6 months?
Africa, north of Africa, some of it here. And they didn't show any footage from it. They had lots of behind-the-scenes photos, and John Steele and other cinematographers from the film there. I don't know how much I can say, but basically the 2 things that stood out for me from that, in terms of how they shot the film, they were using Canon 5D DSLRs as crash cams. So they had these things rigged into little housings on the trucks and the cars. It's a gigantic car chase, obviously, the film.
Big car chase.
And they just destroyed them all over the place because they were using them as crash cams.
But in the great pictures up to the point of impact.
Well, that was one of the points. They had Olympus cameras originally, but when they had an impact and when there was a concussion from an explosion, the Olympus cameras died. They stopped recording, so they found the Canons worked out better. The other big thing there was George Miller, as a directive to the cinematographers, everything dead centre in frame. The camera, the actor,
Which is going to
the
make
action.
it interesting for editing.
Yeah, which was, from a cinematographer's point of view, it's not how you normally want to frame things. You want to have a more elegant
But
composition.
it's going to make more sense for intercutting, and particularly when they
for
do it
fast
for 3D.
cutting, it'll be much better. Your focus is always dead centre in the screen.
It's going to be a fast cut movie,
will be,
isn't it?
yes.
Yeah. The other one that we had a paper or session yesterday on data and big data, and this is actually quite important because 10 years ago, for instance, when the last vet training package major update happened, nobody knew what a data wrangler was. The job didn't even exist. Whereas now, data wrangling, like we've seen this here, indeed, as we've been producing material, data wrangling is the lifeblood of your ability to get something to air.
It's what gets from the set, from the shoot, into post, and make that happen efficiently and as fast as possible without screwing things up
And
along
then
the
being
way.
able to manage big data and be able to track where stuff is, and you've done 50,000 shots, but you need to know which is exactly the one, and then how you handle that later for production guarantees.
Codecs is a big deal. Codecs and
all of this stuff.
transcoding, yeah.
So we've been talking about all of this here at SMPTE 13. It's been absolutely wonderful. We're going to go to a break now. When we come back, there'll be more from A Girl and a Gun. And welcome back.
And we've got our first glitch in the day.
Well, we actually, just as we went to the first glitch, our guest turned up for the 6-minute segment. Well, he is.
Here we are. Come and join us on the couch. Come on.
Okay, completely without any warning at all. Okay, so somebody's going to get Pat around the camera that's on air, and we're going to vamp until this happens.
Okay, so
you tell these people to get here early, and they're industry professionals, and what happens? Okay, so look, Phil, you're going to talk about something or other.
I'm going to talk about something until we get Pat in.
Until we can get Pat in here.
I'm going to talk more about Fury Road.
Are you?
Because there was another issue that came up there. In fact, they initially.
Hang on, we're going to do this while they work out how to get which camera on air so Pat can sidle in here.
Oh, he can cross, I guess.
Can he just walk across? Can he do that?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Off you go.
Get in.
Get in there.
Get in
just
on
jump
the set.
in.
Just do it. We'll do this on camera. We can do this.
Just while we get him,
Just sit down and shut up while he fits.
See, one other interesting thing that they did on Fury Road was that they were planning on shooting it 3D, and they ended up not. They shot the whole thing in 2D with no consideration for 3D whatsoever. But they're planning on doing a 3D post on the film, I gather, which many films are doing now, where they shoot it in 2D and they add the 3D in post-production. But as John Steele said in this talk, we didn't shoot with any consideration for 3D. We weren't planning on framing or thinking about editing. They shot a 2D film, and that's probably how I'm going to prefer to see it, frankly, as a 2D film.
As a 2D film?
Yeah.
Do you really think that 2D is better than 3D?
Some films I've liked in 3D, most I haven't. Whether they're shot or posted, I don't know.
Well, look, let's talk now with somebody who comes from a world where this actually happens. Now, Dolby, you might have thought of as an audio company. Everybody thinks of Dolby as an audio company. In fact, Dolby is into a whole lot of technologies, including 3D. Joined now by Pat Griffs.
Good morning, everybody.
Now, look, your title with Dolby, because I can't ever remember this.
Executive Director of Technology Strategy in the CTO office.
In the Chief Technologist's office.
In the office of the CTO.
The CTO. Is Ray still sort of, CTO?
Ray Dolby? No, Ray has...
sort of back a bit?
He's cashed in and he's relaxed.
Okay, that's good. Look, yesterday, what we were talking about was brightness and how bright images have to be. And this is an area where Dolby's been doing a great deal of work. Right. We saw your precision monitor, which is here, and which has pictures that just look absolutely stunning. Now, let's just talk about how bright images have to be for them to be good.
Many people don't realize how bright the sun is, for example. So let's start with that. A noonday sun, and I'll use a term called nits, which are candelas per square meter for folks in the TV world, but it's pretty well known. TV broadcasts, just to give you a context, all the color correction is done with a maximum white of about 120 nits, whether it's for Blu-ray or broadcast.
So you're sitting at home and you're watching your TV, it's about 120 nits, and we think that's bright enough.
Yeah, well, that's what we do today. But for example, a noonday sun is 1.6 billion nits.
Okay, 1.6 billion. It's just
Billion, not million, billion.
Just a little bit bigger.
A lot bigger.
And the eye handles this. This is like the eye manages this contrast range.
Yes, it does. In fact, the eye is amazing as a piece of technology. We can see from sunlight to starlight about 11 orders of dynamic range. We can't see starlight and sunlight at the same time,
So if
but we
if
can
say 11 orders of dynamic range, what does film do?
Well, typically film today is color graded, which means the color sits down and the whitest white is actually half of broadcast television, or about 50 nits.
But no, in terms of dynamic range.
Dynamic range is one thing. Film has a lot of latitude, maybe 14 to 18 stops. Each stop is half the light. So film has tremendous latitude or dynamic range, but the way it gets exposed is based on how it's projected. That's why I was using
And how does digital then compare to that? Digital cameras?
Well, digital cameras, actually the new generation of cameras, be it the Arri Alexa, the Sony f65, the Reds, actually have 14 f-stops and more. They have a lot more dynamic range than we end up showing on the screens in cinemas.
Right. So the challenge is that you've got this enormous dynamic range in real life. That has to get cut down for film. It has to get cut down more for digital video. I mean, it was even worse on composite. And then you squash it down to this 100 nits of dynamic range on a typical TV set at home.
That's right.
So what's the thinking in terms of how we handle this and how we make the experience better?
So going forward, actually Dolby, you mentioned that we're doing a lot in imaging. We actually have a number of color scientists, and we've gone back at looking at some of the literature. So we think, as we look at the next generation of technology, we should be designing for the human eye, just the way we do for the human ear.
With this like 11 orders of magnitude.
Taking that into account. Now, that 11 orders of magnitude, 1.6 billion nits shining directly into consumers' eyes, burning them out is probably not a good entertainment experience.
Probably not going to work in the lounge room, is it?
No, and starlight, the human eye is also amazing. With about 30 minutes of adaptation in a dark room like a cave, you can see as few as 40 photons. But, 30-minute scene change is also probably not too entertaining.
Or fast cutting on Mad Max.
Yes.
So the question is, what's the useful range?
Right.
And the research we've done with a setup in our labs up in the Bay Area, a Christie cinema projector, full-size projector, projected down to a 21-inch diagonal screen, LCD screen, was capable of 20,000 nits of peak light output. And we did tests with a number of viewers and concluded that for useful dynamic range, some people actually wanted up to 20,000 nits. Scenes like outdoor scenes, the preferences were for brighter images. And people, when they look at a glacier, actually expect to squint, we found out.
Well, you get sunburned in the snow after all. There's a lot
You get
of sunlight
sunburned
there.
watching this TV.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting one. So 1.6 billion nits, obviously staring at the sun is not good for your eyes long term. But even about 140,000 nits, you'll start getting snow blindness. That's reflected light. Anything the sun hits is going to be bright. So what we found out is 20,000 nits, peak luminance is a good number, and about 0.005 nits on the black side is a useful range, and I call it an entertainment dynamic range. And so
this is going to become a new standard for consumer TVs ultimately, we hope?
Yeah, it's actually, it's been proposed in the ITU now, along with the new curve, based on how the human eye sees. Gamma, as you all know, is a wonderful coincidence.
And that's going to change as well.
Wonderful coincidence of physics, but that's not the way our eyes see.
So a work in progress, and something we expect to see more about, and something we expect to lead to improved performance and visual delivery for consumers.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Pat, for coming along and joining us on A Girl and a Gun.
That was brilliant. Very technical, but very important stuff.
Very important stuff. You're with A Girl and a Gun?
Yes, we are, and we've talked about with the SMPTE show, we have a little package here that shows you a bit more about what's been going on here on the show floor.
You're with A Girl and a Gun, coming to you live from SMPTE 13 or being replayed on a multitude of podcast networks all across the world, which you can do. Once upon a time it was, like in town and in Australia, and now it's...
We are now international.
Absolutely everywhere. One of the things that I saw at the last SMPTE show, and it was a bit of a surprise, created a lot of buzz. We sort of fell over this device that nobody was expecting. Again, a locally produced product, which is a teleprompter housing. Now, you might not think that teleprompter housings, is a big thing, but when it's a housing into which you can just drop an iPad and turn the iPad into a working teleprompter for under $300, you've got to go, wow. So we asked Richard Farr from Prompted to come along and talk about it. So you've got the product here.
Yes, I have.
And this is the new one. So now it's been updated.
Yes.
Comes complete with an iPad for free.
Yeah, the iPad is free. Actually, we give out 2 iPads with it.
Yes, provided you pay for them.
That's right.
Exactly. Okay. So let's have a look at the device. I'll take the pad here.
Sure. Okay, so second generation, we were able to, because we sold about 2,500 of these devices in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We were able to fund a mold to create the mold. It used to be made out of Perspex, which is a very unecological plastic. It's a lot of plastic.
So the original one, if I remember right, was clear Perspex and it was milled.
That's it. It had to be routed out.
Yeah, so you got lots of waste.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
So we managed to fund the mold, and now it's injection molded. It's a lot better. It's a lot lighter. Guaranteed for life.
And with this, God, that is so light. I mean, that weighs nothing. No,
You can try the drop test. You can drop it.
No, I'm not going to do it on air just in case something goes wrong. You never know. It's live television, folks. Could be my career ending very quickly. But then it's got the ferrule embedded in there, and so that's strong enough to be able to sort of take knocks when it's sitting on a tripod.
One of the feedback we got from camera operators from ABC actually was that this part in the old version was out of plastic, so it could crack easily. So with the new version, we decided to put a brass screw thread, which is a 1/4 inch.
Okay. So I'll stand here and pretend to be a camera mount,
right?
And you're going to take the glass thing now out of that.
So the glass is it's a silver coated beam splitter glass.
Now this is right. This is beam splitter glass.
Yes.
It's not just any old bit of glass.
No, it's the same glass that you get in the $2,000, $3,000 teleprompters. So what we've done is we've decided to do it portrait. Everybody told us, don't go portrait. You have to be white.
You have to read it that way.
And my first question was, why? And when I couldn't get a decent answer,
you said
the glass is smaller, it's sturdier. It means it fits in a bag, in a laptop bag.
So let's drop that in.
We place the glass into the groove at the back. So it's as simple as that. So it's a 45-degree angle. And then the cover. My business partner and I. We wanted something that could be set up without tools.
Right.
So we set out to make it as simple as possible. And I'll just add that we also do video productions, and we actually use this setup ourselves.
Okay, so at this point, I could be the camera there.
On a shoot. I actually used this on a few days on a shoot.
It's always very exciting when I hear that.
We were doing a training video, and my cinematographer has this.
Yes.
And it's the first time I'd used a prompt on location, on set. I thought, with so much technical dialogue we had to do, this is the best solution.
Simple.
It worked out brilliantly.
Let's drop that in here.
I'll just before we put the iPad, these little bits clip on the back here.
So then it becomes nice and sturdy and. Okay,
and the camera operator, a couple of camera operators were using it in Darwin in full sunlight, and they said that they were getting glare through the sides. So we designed it so that now you can attach the little clips on the bottom here.
Wow.
So you get the side cover as well. So if you're in full daylight, they were using cardboard and bits and pieces. So anyway, so that I'll put it on the back for the demonstration purposes so we can see.
So that we can get to the point where we can show it fully assembled. Just pop that on, and you've got the software, and we drop that in. Now this is using Teleprompter Plus.
Teleprompt Plus is
which is the software that we use,
software that.
And the beauty that it's portrait is you can see more of what's coming up, basically.
That's it, and with another Apple device such as an iPhone or an iPod Touch, just Bluetooth connect the two.
And Richard,
this is what I'm doing.
Richard is showing this now on the iPhone. So the teleprompter client on the iPhone talks to the Teleprompter Plus client on the pad,
and you can control it.
You control the whole thing. You control the speed.
So now
backwards and forwards.
Okay, so now if this camera's on, if I want to make the text bigger, I can just increase the text size.
And you can set chapter
and I
marks to
can-
jump to different sections
That's
in the
it.
text
Yeah,
and all of that.
and I've used this
Yeah.
software, and it is just really easy to use. It's really easy to import scripts. You just sort of send a script via Dropbox or something, bang, into
Exactly.
Tugboat Plus, and you're live on air with it, and it's just so
Yeah.
unfussy.
As I say, I used this on a recent
great.
project. It worked out brilliantly.
Wonderful.
So look,
we did
very nice to
30
hear.
pages in 3 days.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You know,
Basically.
that's so rewarding for us when we hear that people are using it. And today, the last 4 days here at SMPTE, people have been coming by and saying, I bought one 4 years ago. We've been replacing the old base for free for people who've bought it in the past. So you've got one, we'll
Right.
replace the base to the new.
And look,
new
you,
one for
you did a
Yeah.
special deal for people
Yes.
here at SMPTE, so I'm now feeling like this is, like a bit of a morning show effort here. But for a special thing for a Girl and a Gun viewers, so if you call Richard up at Prompted,
Yes.
and with the number that you see on the screen now, there's a number. I was going to have a piece of paper with a 5 on it, but
Zero,
no, it didn't
distant
work.
playback,
No.
we'll super it on. Yeah.
I can give it out. It's 89593024.
Just give the number again.
02-8959-3024.
Okay.
Right,
and
thank-
if you call Richard on that number and say you saw this on A Girl and a Gun, you're going to get the special show pricing for this device.
No problem
You
at
had
all.
no idea I was going to say that.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
You're with A Girl and a Gun, coming to you live from the floor of SMPTE 13.
And we're going to go now to another one of the packages that we talked about earlier from Max, looking at plasma lighting in particular. Have a look at this.
I'm David Adderman from Measurement and Analysis Camera Systems, more commonly known as Max Camera Film and Television Supplies in Artarmon in Sydney. We're Australia's longest established high-speed camera company, and we specialise in the high end of cameras and the high end of lighting systems for the film and the television industries. We were the original slow-mo extreme people in Australia, and we do a lot of the TV commercials, the Schweppes, the Tim Tam, the Carlton beer ads, and a lot of the others that have won awards over the years. We've supplied the cameras and the technical expertise behind the cameras. We are now bringing into the country our latest development, or the latest development in lighting, which is plasma light. It supplies light at 5600 degrees Kelvin, pure sunlight. It has no gaps in the colour spectrum, and it is totally flicker free. And this is the lighting of the future, which for everybody is going to improve the colour fidelity of your images, and it's also going to improve the performance of your cameras. It is also far more light efficient than any of the other technologies out there. Plasma light, you get pure colour. It's as if you're filmed in sunlight. And that, I think, is going to be the big game changer for the film industry.
Plasma lighting, which I think is going to be the future of certainly replacing HMIs and that kind of thing.
It certainly looks like a really interesting idea, and of course what we're all looking for in this industry is the perfect light source. One of the things I was talking about with somebody a couple of days ago was the shift from incandescent light. Television has a white point of 6500 Kelvin, daylight 5600. Incandescent 3300, very yellow. And we've always worked in an environment where we adjusted everything down to the colour temperature of the incandescent light. So we rebalanced. Of course, what that means is you put a monitor in the background and it looks really blue and horrible and nasty and the colours aren't right. So then you have to adjust the colour temperature of the monitor.
This comes to what our first guest was talking about in terms of how much light can we use, therefore how much light gets transferred through the chain to what can be shown on TV.
A bit of that. But there's now a trend, because with cold fluorescent lights, you can do away with incandescent lights, push the colour temperature up, and provided everybody's happy working in this white light, which is a really bit, I still find it a
It's
bit...
like being on stage.
a bit weird and uncomfortable, but once you get used to that, you're sort of working at a colour temperature that's much closer to either the white point that we regard as daylight or the white point of television. And then, of course, you can put whatever you like in the background because the colours now match.
So another choice, another option for cinematographers, plasma lighting.
And the plasma lighting allowing you to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people I've spoken to, like even Richard yesterday, are very excited about the possibilities that can offer.
Now, the other thing that was down when we were looking at these people down on their stand was one of their zero latency high-speed camera.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, two things. They had the high-speed camera and they had the zero latency codec, so you could transmit the pictures with absolutely no delay, which is really important if you're trying to match something where there is no timing delay allowed, especially if you're dealing with music, live music. Yeah. So, okay,
So upcoming up next, we've got a package again from Switch Media. There's another Australian company.
Well, in fact, one of our sponsors. They've been hosting all the live video on demand for the student video project.
Oh, terrific!
We thank them a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let's roll that one now. Thanks.
You're with a girl in a gun.
Hi, my name's John Lankin and I'm the Director of Marketing for Switch Media. Switch Media is an Australian-based company and we specialise in providing IPTV services and video content management services for Australian broadcasters and for public service and for education markets. Australian-based company, all our R&D is here in Sydney and we design special services for IPTV delivery. Some of our customers include Foxtel and we're very proud to be the company that's providing the Foxtel Go service. We also do specialised portals for the Department of Parliamentary Services, for RMI TV and Enhanced Television. It's a growing market and it's a market we're very proud to be part of. Services are operated through our VCMS platform, which is a video content management service. In the service, users subscribe to the service and they log in. It's hosted in the cloud. They upload their videos. The content management service encodes those into various formats, and then we deliver those through to various apps. Another part of Switch Media's business is that we develop app services. So we, in particular in the Foxtel Go service, we develop the iOS apps, the Android apps, the PC Mac apps, and we'll soon be operating a new service for Foxtel called Play, which will be launching next week. For those of you that are interested in IPTV delivery, Switch Media, we're the experts. Please come and see us. We're at Piedmont.
Welcome back to A Girl and a Gun, live from the SMPTE show
Michael.
floor. And I'm joined now by John Barry from Adobe.
Hi.
G'day, John. Now, Adobe have recently, in terms of the Creative Suite, they've just released a new version called Creative Cloud.
Correct.
Adobe CC. And you've changed how this is sold and you've changed how it works.
Yes.
And there's been a bit of criticism, a bit of worry about how this works for people. So if you can maybe address some of this. It is now a subscription model.
Correct.
What was the reasoning behind this?
Okay, so we don't make these decisions without consulting the client base. So most of our customers have been wanting a cheaper way to enter. They've been wanting a more robust way of being able to stay in step with technology because it's, as you've seen, and everyone's seen, it's moved very, very fast. 4 years ago, where was the iPad? Wasn't there. A couple years before that, where was the iPhone? Wasn't there. So the technology keeps shifting quickly. We need to keep in step with that.
So the update cycle, like the software company used to have every year or so.
It was too slow.
Yeah.
So taking that into consideration and then looking at how many users we have that really are connected to the internet kind of all the time, it just made sense to let's try this. So 12 months ago, a little over 12 months ago, we launched the Creative Cloud while we still had Creative Suite 6.
Yep.
And we had some pretty minimal numbers that we thought we might get, and we surpassed the numbers dramatically.
Okay, yeah.
And so based on that, we went, all right, let's go all in. We had to bite the bullet at some point, so we've gone all in. And it actually is a pretty big environmental thing. Our footprint now, not making boxes, not having discs, melting plastic in order to do that, delivering, QC, some discs were bad batch, you got to make more. Ink, it's
also
actually
different
not
regions
really
around the
cool.
world, different manufacturing, delivery processes, all of that kind of thing.
So putting, and this is where everyone gets a little confused. Cloud, The term cloud confuses people because cloud traditionally has come from my computer is a client, the server in the cloud is running the software.
This is one of the points of confusion, yes.
Right, and so that's not what we're doing. So I just want to make that very clear. What we're doing is taking the box and the disk and we put it in the cloud. So instead of installing on your computer from a disk, you install it from the cloud.
But you are still downloading a software. It runs natively.
It runs on your computer as it always has done.
And you don't have to be connected just to make it work.
Correct.
Not unlike they've claimed about the Xbox, for example.
Right. So there's different models for how we sell this. There's the Creative Cloud for the individual.
Yep.
And so for that one, per month, we just want to do a quick ping and just make sure it's a legit version of the software. The monthly check-in as well means that we were restricted by the year to 18-month cycle of the box release. We could put new features only into the new paid-for versions. Now, when you pay per month, you're paying for a new version every month.
So this is kind of knocking off two birds with one stone. One, it's helping combat the piracy of the software.
So there's that, yeah.
You've got, you know who your legitimate users are, and you get an update every month, or whenever you push something out, you can get the update straight away.
So the updates don't just do bug fixes, they actually also do features. So Premiere Pro, which is our flagship for video editing, which has become, we actually have stats now that show it is the #1 used NLE out there. It surpasses the competition now. Okay. It's not just the #1 installed and that people didn't use. It is actually the most used out there now, and it's growing and growing and growing. I'm flat out talking to everybody at the moment. So we expect that to continue growing. But CC version of Premiere Pro, it all came out last month.
Yep.
The new month ticked over, and within a week, we had a 701 update, which has 25 new features inside that update. And I actually without extra cost.
I got it in last month, and I'll include a full review of the suite in our podcast later on. But look, I'm loving it. There's some of the new features there are great. I actually think the subscription model is a really good idea. Yeah. People have been concerned about how the pay model,
right?
But I think you can pay for it when you need it, as you need it, and if you work it out over a year, it works out cheaper in the long run than buying the box version used to be.
Absolutely, and you're not just getting access to the suites that we had. So there was Master Collection, Production Premium, the Design Premium, Web. It's all Master Collection and some.
Yeah.
So there's tools there that you weren't getting inside of the Creative Suite, and we keep.
There's a lot of new stuff there which I've yet to explore.
There's new web sort of stuff, and there's training videos, exclusive training videos inside.
We can't even go into that. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. So
okay.
There's heaps there that we want to talk about.
There's so much more in
and
there,
I'll review that at a later point. Thank you so much, Don, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Talking about the Creative Cloud. We now have yet another package we're going to throw to on Aerobot drones. We love drones. Let's have a look at what they've got.
I'm from Aerobot. We operate out of Byron Bay, and we're the manufacturers of radio-controlled multi-copters for aerial cameras. So as you can see here on this banner, that's how it looks. So it's in the air, fully kitted. And we've got one up here. This is one of the larger models. This one here will take 5.5 kg for about 10 minutes, so that's around an epic. Got a roll and tilt stabilized camera mount, so we can keep a level horizon. Got navigation here so that we can have position hold, come home, waypoint programming, fail-safe return to home, auto takeoff and land, and many other features as well. Well, this mount here is a prototype that we're currently working on. It is roll, tilt, and pan stabilization. It's handheld. Currently it's not working because my radio is on charge, so I can't really show you how it works, but you get a general idea of its capabilities. Now, this is what we recommend to get training with. It's just a small micro quadricopter. It's only $95. Comes with a radio, and it's really good for learning the small thumb controls that you need to operate these machines stably. We also recommend the AeroSim flight simulator when you get to know the controls. So when you purchase a machine, we like to send out your radio with a simulator so that you can get practicing while we build your machine. And then people come see us in Byron Bay and do their training, and so they can learn to fly and safely and responsibly.
Welcome back to A Girl and a Gun, coming to you live from the SMPTE show floor. And John, you have a special guest with us now.
I do. We've had a number of people come to us from SMPTE headquarters. Now, SMPTE, the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, the society that I joined as a professional when I first started working in video. And I'm very glad to welcome to A Girl and a Gun the Executive Director of SMPTE, Barbara Lange. Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
Hi. Your second time in Australia, your second time here at the show.
Second time at the show, fourth trip to Australia.
Fourth? Oh, okay. You did the social thing before?
I did a social visit before. Yes.
We'll find out more about that a little later. I mean, the show going incredibly well as we sit here on our last day.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive compared to US shows?
It is. It is very impressive. It's wonderful to see so many exhibitors here, and the floor is very busy. I've seen, even today on the last day, there's still a lot of business being transacted. And as I've been milling about talking to some of the people on the stands, they've been very pleased with the quality of the people coming through and the importance that this event has in this region of the world. It's great.
And
really great.
One guy I was talking to, drinks last night, his drinks in fact, said that he'd had an opportunity come up which could, if it works out, even pay for his entire presence here. Which of course is what you hope for when you turn up at a trade show like this.
Of course.
Look, tell us about SMPTE and we've restructured the society.
Yeah, well, so the society will be celebrating its centennial in 2016, which is a major milestone for any organization.
100 years.
100 years. And over the last several years, we've kind of looked a little bit inward in terms of what is it to be SMPTE, what does it mean to the industry. And so we've realigned it to talk about our three pillars of education, of membership, and of standards. And no matter how you find a home in SMPTE, you're either very committed to the membership part of our business, our education part of our business, or the standards development part of our business.
So let's talk about the standards. So standards is the process of getting everybody together and agreeing that this thing will talk to that thing in this way.
Interoperability, facilitating interoperability. And SMPTE creates the environment, the table where all the participants can come, and it's a due process, so we're accredited by international standards organizations, and so we follow some very strict rules about
And there aren't very many of those organizations that are accredited to actually create standards.
That's right. And so when you adopt a SMPTE standard and use it in your operation, you can be assured that there is that interoperability, and then upon which organizations can build their features and functions and all the bells and whistles. But you know as a consumer, as an end user, that it's going to work.
This will talk to that.
That's right.
Okay. And then the next part, of course, is membership.
Membership. The pillars are all equal, so we don't say one is more important than the other, of course. So membership is very important. We have a global membership. We have members in 65 countries around the world. Australia has a large membership. Many people working in
hundreds of people working in the industry.
Practitioners, and as well as students.
And not just engineers, because it is a society of engineers, but in Australia, and indeed in many areas, we welcome people who aren't engineers, but who want to be...
technologists, who care about the quality of the motion image and the image and the sound coming together to enable a wonderful consumer experience. So anybody who cares about that is welcome in the SMPTE membership.
And of course, we've just created in Australia a SMPTE student chapter in Sydney.
In Sydney, yes. We're very excited about that. It's the first time that we're creating a student chapter that's kind of regionally or geographically oriented rather than
an organization.
Specific. Yeah. So we're very excited, and it's so wonderful to have all these students here running this little production
and
right
of course
here.
we talk about education, and the whole purpose of this exercise that we're doing here is to give the up and coming students the opportunity to play in the sandbox.
And it's such a cool sandbox. And I bet you all these students are really jazzed about the sandbox.
Really great time.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, we're having a good time.
Aren't we? I love Australia. I've enjoyed being here. I enjoyed the food and the drink, including the coffee, which I've learned. I'm starting to get the hang of the,
How
the
to
flat
talk Australian.
white and all that other business.
Look, there's one other thing that we can announce now, and this will become more apparent. You mentioned the 100 Years celebrations.
Yes.
Which technically is the society was formed in 1916.
Correct.
The 100 Year centenary is 2016. But in fact, the first event, the kick-off event for the 100 Years celebration is going to be right here at SMPTE 2015
That's the
in
plan.
Sydney.
Yes, that is the plan, and
Very
we're
exciting.
really looking forward to that. That will be the kickoff for what will essentially be 18 months of celebration.
Celebrations.
I can
And
hardly wait.
Won't we celebrate?
Everything starts in Australia. We know that.
We know
right?
this. We know this.
Right?
Barbara Lange, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
joining
so
us on A
much.
Girl and a Gun. You're with A Girl and a Gun, and we're going to a piece of video right now.
From Aspera, yes.
From Aspera. From somewhere.
My name is JC. I work for Aspera, an American company that is specialized in the transport of big files. So what we do is we are sending files from A to B at the highest speeds you can have. Nowadays we are still using a technology that is from 20 years ago, which is TCP above IP. This is not what you want nowadays, because we are sending files that they didn't think about. They are not thinking, we are talking about gigabits, we are talking about terabytes. So our clients need to have a higher speed. So we have a protocol that has been designed by ourselves, and we have software to send files 100 times faster, 1,000 times faster than what it used to be. Here I have a tool called FastSpecs, and this is a replacement for sending emails. Basically, when you are using an email, you will have a restriction of size to 5 megs and not something bigger. A plugin that is compatible with any kind of browsers, that is just doing the work of sending the file on the other side. And if your browser crashes, it still runs even when it's closed. Here are the speed I have. And let's say that I realize that I'm taking too much bandwidth on the internet connection of the company. I can decide on the fly to reduce that.
By the miracle of television, we've managed to get right down the other end of the floor of the exhibition, and I'm here on the Innes Corp stand with Karen Oliver, who's the General Manager of Innes Corp. G'day,
Good morning,
welcome
John.
to A Girl and a Gun.
Yeah.
And I'm here because we're celebrating innovation in Australia. Now, the device behind me is the FlashLog. It's a device that Innes Corp has been producing for how long?
About 17 years.
Wow. And the original version, I think, was just like two channels for compliance logging in radio.
Yes, indeed. That's correct.
What's happened to this one?
Okay, the latest version, FlashLog 8, has the capability to capture up to 32 AM, 32 FM channels, 4 DAB ensembles, and 64 individual line.
Okay, now I'll just get that again. 64 individual lines, 4 DAB ensembles, 32 AM stations, 32 FM stations, all at once.
Yes.
You're probably going to tell me you can do all that from the one antenna.
Yes.
which is amazing. Now, how has that been done? Who's responsible for this?
Well, we have a development engineer within Innes Corporation. His name's Dr. Jeromy Pages, a very brilliant man. He's done all the design work of the hardware that sits inside this unit, developed the capture of the drivers and then the logging program to record, and basically he's very brilliant.
And this has all happened here in Hornsby. So look, we've got 3 discs in this unit, which are in RAID 5. I'm told that this will record 42 days of material if you're doing all of that at once, which is pretty extraordinary. Let's go and have a look at how this is done. The circuit boards that Jeff developed are on display here at the show, and we've pulled them out for you so that you can see them. So here we are, 5 circuit boards.
Yes, we have everything is PCIe version now. We've transitioned right across, mainly to suit the current technology with motherboards. We have 2 professional sound cards, and they capture 4 stereo line channels each. The AES version, analog version, and then we have our actual radio capture cards, AM, FM and DAB. These pieces of hardware can be configured 6, 12, 18, 24, 32 channels, but they can also be remotely upgradable, which is great for the export market.
Yeah, that's a really amazing thing. So they already have the capability of doing all of those channels, but if you want to increase the capacity, you're just pushing up the license key, and you get a new license key, and off it goes.
Yeah, just basically purchase an expansion key, and we activate it. We can activate it immediately. So it's on the fly. They can go from 6 to 32 channels on the fly. Similarly, the DAB multi-ensemble, you could start with 1 ensemble if that's all you required, and upgrade to 4 later down the track. Probably a moot point in Australia because we only have 3 in any one,
Yeah, but it's going to come. Somebody's going to need more than that. And you can always put more cards in the PC. Like you can put, 6 of these cards in a PC at once?
Yes, yeah. The motherboards we work with have 6 PCIe slots. Yeah.
And speaking of the number 6, and you wouldn't be able to see this at home watching, but this is a multi-layer circuit board. So in here is up to 6 layers of wiring in that little piece of plastic. Isn't that amazing?
It's great engineering.
Just the design of that. That's absolutely brilliant, and produced here in Hornsby in Australia.
Yeah.
Karen, thank you very much. There's another product that I just want to talk to you about, which is produced here in Australia, and that's the Tieline. Tieline is a company based in Perth, and they started with their very first Tieline device solving a problem that radio broadcasters had, which is how to get a decent sounding signal up a phone line. And the solution was to turn it into data and send it up via a modem at 28 kilobits back in the days when that was how it works. Well, Charlie Gorley joining me from Tieline. We've gone a long way since then. We're now Ethernet.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, we've progressed from the days of using the old traditional telephone line and ISDN to now using IP. And in fact, we've been using IP now for almost 7 years and doing it very, very successfully. The most challenging aspect is outside broadcasts, which we've brought our knowledge and know-how from that into studio to transmission links that will give you rock-solid links over IP.
In fact, that's a very important point. As landlines went away and all the radio broadcasters were searching for technologies to get the signal from the studio to the transmitter very securely, this works, and you can send it via the open internet.
Yes, we'll go over the public internet or over your private LANs or WANs, any form of Ethernet connectivity, so it can be over 4G LTE, wired IP or microwave links. As long as you have some form of Ethernet connectivity, it will deliver the audio from point A to B or to multi-point.
And of course it's also bi-directional, so if you've got the bi-directional link, you can take one of these out, you plug in headphones, microphones, you've got the complete OB studio right there in the one box.
Exactly, it enables the producers to talk to the talent off air, so none of that goes to air, and can prompt them to ask questions when they're interviewing dignitaries or celebrities.
And all the support coming from Perth, and by the way, they're all manufactured in Tieline's facility on their own gear in Perth, 100% Australian made. Charlie, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, a girl and a gun. Some more product here at the SMPTE 13 show, and we're throwing back to Underwater Spectacular.
I'm Peter Mooney. We're from Nordicam Australia. We're a manufacturer of high-end waterproof boxes to suit a variety of cameras, from Panasonic GH3s through to the new Blackmagic cinema camera, Reds, pretty well everything. We've got it covered. Let's have a look at the range. So this is the housing for the Red Epic and cinema cameras. We've got adjustable port set, unique interchangeable port locks. Everything just comes on and off very easily for field service. We have tactile controls, iris control, self-locking cam mechanism, easy to mount the camera, transfer of controls, stainless steel. Everything is absolutely at your fingertips. The housing's been very, very well received and is engineered specifically to use the Canon range of EF mount SLR lenses. Our housing for the Canon 5D Mark III digital camera, and we've got it set up with the Atomos Ninja 2 monitor. So we've produced a waterproof box that allows the monitor to go inside with full access to all the controls via the touchscreens underwater. Alongside our full range of underwater housings, we have high-performance LED lighting systems, all waterproof for 100 metres. Please watch your eyes, everybody. This is 7,000 lumens of light, adjustable over 4 stops, and then in 1% increments. Okay, so infinitely adjustable, whatever you need.
And welcome back to A Girl and a Gun, live from the SMPTE show floor. I'm Phil Moore and I'm joined by John Maisels, and I'm also joined now by Jeromy Young from Atomos. Hello, Jeromy.
Hi, how you doing?
You've got some wonderful bit of kit here to show us.
Yeah, I do. So, we make a range of onboard recorders, monitors, playback decks, all in one. So we try to converge devices together, give you all the monitoring functions you need to set up your shop properly. We record directly to hard disks internally on the unit, and we give you waveform, focus peaking, etc. You record in Apple ProRes or Avid DNX directly from the sensor of any of these cameras.
Slow down a bit. There's a lot of tech stuff you're going through there.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Let's go back to like very simple. So I'm just showing, in fact, here on the Ninja, there is a picture of a ninja on the picture of the Ninja. Well, we just lost it there. Where were we? We're over there. We're over there.
Very meta.
Yeah, it was very meta. But in fact, I can back off from here, I hope, and tell it to stop playing, and it will come up and show me. There we go. So this is what one looks like when it doesn't have a disc in it. You plug the disc in and it says, I'm able to record.
Correct. So if you've got a camera feed, it'll say record, play, and monitor. So we don't have a camera feed, so we no monitor, but we can still play back from the disc, which is what I was doing earlier.
This is beautiful. These like were introduced at the beginning of 2012.
Correct.
Yeah. First time I saw one was from like halfway through last year, and they said, oh, this is a Ninja. It took me about 5 minutes to work out how to use it.
Thank you, yeah. Simple operating systems are not on cameras, so we tried to make sure it's easy to use.
And it's a very unfussy box that will record the video, I think 8 stereo audios.
Up to 12 channels. 12 channels of audio and 2 of analog audio.
Okay.
And you just say the video is ProRes?
Yeah, so we go uncompressed from the center of the camera, so before it gets to MPEG compression, so it's the best quality the camera can produce.
Yep.
And we encode that directly to your editing format, which is Apple ProRes or Avid DNX in multiple bit rate levels, up to 220 megabits.
So in fact, if you want to do a very, very long recording at low quality, you can do that. Want to do a short recording at very high quality, you can do that. But the incoming video is whatever you're getting in digital.
Yeah, so we uniformly record from multiple cameras, Sony, Panasonic, Canon, Nikon, whatever your camera, we go to one format and it's instantly editable. So we added also functions like focus peaking, waveform to give you that. And we just released our new Samurai Blade, which is a 1280 by 720, 325 DPI mobile phone quality screen.
Oh, okay.
So you've got a really, really nice screen, which isn't seen that much in monitors because usually the volume is
I wondered
too
why
high.
720p, but then we say mobile. Yeah, okay, exactly.
Yeah, correct. Well, it's the quality and the density of pixels per inch that's really important for great monitoring. And we go to standard hard disks. So we don't ask you to buy our hard disk. We give you a list of recommended drives, both spinning disks and SSDs.
Oh, okay.
So SSDs for run and gun and vibration-sensitive environments up in a helicopter, for example.
That'd be the preference anyway.
And by the way, it's incredibly unfussy. You sort of take the disc and you slap it in, and it just works.
Yeah, that was a big part. It's got to record all the time. It's got to be easy to use. And we've sold over 15,000 recorders in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And we're just gaining momentum. We can record from GoPro outputs from the uncompressed feed of the sensor all the way through DSLRs, all the way through to high-end video cameras. Reds, for example, we're the offline recorder, so you can do quick editing. We do file naming from the Red. We do time code. We do triggering. Like if I hit trigger on the camera here, I'm recording internally and externally onto the device.
And it's turned the little red on the...
You can see.
And I've got a tally light there that shows you that you're recording.
Like another thing I found with this is incredibly unfussy. Once you work out that you've got to have the battery in the one position to fire
start
it up. Yeah, Yeah, that fooled me the first time. I didn't know, I couldn't see it in the dark. But once you've done that, you can be changing the batteries on the fly, and it's completely glitch free.
Correct. We have a patented system here, which is we call continuous power, which is a circular battery system. One goes down, switches across to the other side. You can swap that out.
You just pull it out.
Charge it, or have a new one ready to go. And 3 to 5 hours out of each battery, we're only 6 watts of power, so you get a long time recording.
Yeah, and you can use all kinds of batteries as
We've
well.
got to wrap this up, unfortunately.
Yeah. Let's just have a look at this one quickly. This is the Ronin. So this is the like the portable broadcast version. Same
Rack
technology,
mountable.
but of course with XLRs in and out.
And AC power, we charge the batteries, so if you do lose your feed, you're still playing out of this off batteries for 10 hours. Or recording.
Or recording. So yeah.
What's the website?
Atomos.com.
Atomos.com.
Yep, and we have Ninja, Samurai and Ronin, and their price points from $700 through to $1,500.
Wow.
Brilliant. So if you're looking for a mobile solution, Atomos. We are now going to have GoPro, and we're going to have a little bit of what's been happening at the GoPro stand.
I'm Rick Lockery. I'm Director of Communications for GoPro. We're here at SMPTE. It's our first year here at the show. And we're obviously showing off the latest and greatest GoPro Hero 3. And this one is the Black Edition. So we have 3 different versions, white, silver, and black. Black is really geared towards the audience that's here at the trade show for the professional production crowd. The Black Edition, which just came out this past fall, is capable of shooting 1080 at 60 frames per second, as well as 2.7K at 30 frames per second, and it can even do 4K, although only at 15 frames per second. The GoPro Hero, it's half the size of its predecessor with Wi-Fi integrated. So that means you can use a remote or you can use an app on your tablet or smartphone to control, see what the camera's seeing. So GoPro, we've seen this when we first came out with our first HD camera back in 2009. We started seeing professional productions use it more and more in reality series and dramas. Even George Lucas used it in the movie Red Tails. And that was the first time we were really seeing the camera used in professional production. Hero 2 came out, we saw more, and now the Hero 3. There's numerous TV shows and movies that you rely on the Hero 3 to get unique and creative shots that they can't get otherwise. Either it's too expensive, camera's too big, and we'll see production groups still have 30 cameras on set, and they'll have them peppered throughout the, whether it's different placements on a car or on the set to get these unique creative shots. It's really what the GoPro brings to the table for professional production.
Welcome back to A Girl and a Gun, live from the SMPTE show floor, and what you're looking at there is a GoPro Hero 3. And we have from GoPro, Jean, here to talk a bit more about the products. The Hero 3 is the latest model, and you've got, tell us a bit more about this. We had a look at the page there, but just give us a bit more detail about what this can do.
This doesn't even look like it should be a camera.
Yes, so tiny.
It's pretty small, isn't it? And what's amazing about this camera application is that it can be worn, it can be mounted in places, and go places that no other camera can go, which is why, our tagline is it's the world's most versatile camera. And it's proven to be incredibly popular not only with consumers, particularly athletes, where they get shots that they could have never gotten before themselves, but it's also been popular in the pro industry, and we've seen motion picture studios and TV stations and other professional applications, because they can get those shots with this camera that no other camera can get.
I've seen reality shows where they've had 10 or 20 of these things dotted around the sets just to get the POV stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
In fact, the last film that I did with our students, we were in New York, and we stuck one of these on the hood of a New York taxi, on the back and the front of a New York taxi, to get these roaming through the street shots.
Oh yeah, it's amazing the shots you can get. There was a shot yesterday that was just posted on YouTube of a golfer who actually used a sand wedge and hit the GoPro camera out of a sand trap and into a hole in one, about 20 feet away, and you see the camera spinning through the air. You have kind of a rolling shutter effect, but then the camera just flies through the air and then lands hole in one with the lens pointing into the hole.
I have to ask, because that's a tough test.
Yes.
How well did the camera survive?
It survived. In fact, they did it 8 times before the golfer was able to get the hole in one, and on the 8th time they got it. So it took 8 hits. and they got the shot.
Right.
So it's amazingly endurable.
Now, one of the new things with this Hero 3 is there's wireless connectivity to the thing.
Yes.
There's Wi-Fi to control it, to control the menus and actually get a feed from that, though there is a bit of latency in the Wi-Fi.
There is, yes.
But there is also a feed, an HDMI feed, which has a lot less latency, yes?
Yeah, so the HDMI feed really, it's pretty much live out. So there's a little micro HDMI plug right here. You can plug that into any external device that you like to, if you want to capture it, for example, or broadcast it. There are several third-party solutions that will let you do that. So, and on the Wi-Fi side, basically the way that works is it's a direct peer-to-peer connection either between your smartphone app, and we have an app available for iOS, Android, and Windows Mobile, where you can control the camera, you can view what the camera lens is seeing. Yes, there is a bit of latency because it's over Wi-Fi. It's about 3 seconds or so. So that's one option. The other way you can control this camera remotely is through the remote control that's included with the Hero 3 Black Edition. That remote control can control multiple cameras at the same time, actually.
Now, you've got a whole series of mounts for this, of course.
Yes.
You didn't bring any with you, but I've got one. This is not yours, though.
Okay.
This is another thing you can do with the Heroes. This comes from Steadicam, in fact. They've actually designed a little Steadicam just for these kinds of cameras, basically, which is brilliant. Right?
Yeah,
and of course, trying to hold this any other way, you'd be all over the place. That's a really nice sort of solution.
This is great. So if you want to get those running shots again, on a little tiny thing like this. And the great thing about these is they're relatively cheap. If it's going to put you in a dangerous situation, a stunt cam, it doesn't matter if they get damaged sometimes.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Thank you so much for showing us that.
You're very welcome.
We actually have Retro Tech coming up in a moment, which you're going to go over the stand and do.
Any second now, I'm going to head over to the Retro Tech stand and have a look at some of the stuff. The Retro Tech stand is right next to the SMPTE stand, the education stand here.
All right, so I'm going to let you get ready for that.
And you're going to let me go to that.
Yeah, and we're going to a quick break while you do that now.
And we're back. Retro technology is something that's really important. It's really important to me because I have a garage full of it, which creates all kinds of interesting dynamics at home. But most technologists can relate to collecting stuff that you just don't want to throw out because it might be useful. If you hang on to it for long enough, of course, it becomes not only just a bit useful, it becomes something that everybody wants to remember. And we have a stand full of it. Gerard Hosier, who is actually not full of it, but must also have a really great man cave at home.
Oh yes, I have a pretty good man cave, not as big as John's man cave. Ian's man cave, which is massive at Hornsby. It's like the Ark.
Big warehouse. I've heard about this.
It's like the Noah's Ark of television.
Let's just have a look at some of the Noah's Ark-y stuff. Now, the first thing is
high definition television here.
Real high definition television. How high That's 405 line standard. So that's the original British transmission standard.
That's correct, and it's 405. It was actually promoted as high definition television because it was competing against Baird's mechanical Nipco disc television,
which was like 30 lines or something.
Yeah, it was. By the time it was transmitted, it was 204 lines of definition. So it's all relative, and that was considered high definition. They co-broadcast for a bit to do test transmissions, and the electronic EMI Marconi.
And of course, like most mechanical systems, it's just parts waiting to go wrong. So the electronic was a good thing.
Yeah, it's just like 4K is only high definition but not high definition compared to 8K.
Yeah. So look, some of the other technologies we've got here is really interesting. So we've got some video formats. So this was the Video 2000 format.
This was a Video 2000 format. It had two sides. So what happens is...
So it was like an audio cassette. You could put it in, turn it over.
So you could flip it over halfway through, and it was a great idea because Philips invented the compact cassette.
And they thought that was going to work, but it was like the digital compact cassette. It didn't go anywhere either.
Well, it's a bit difficult recording a 4-hour movie when you have to, on the timer, when you have to flip it through halfway through.
That didn't work, obviously. This, which is much more common technology, so the video disc, and we had these for a while.
Yeah, this is the Philips Laserdisc. This was sort of came out about 1973. It went on until about 1995. It nearly broke Philips. Inside that...
Introducing that. And it was, of course, in some ways the same technology in the forerunner of the compact disc, which was successful.
Well, exactly. If it wasn't for this, there wouldn't have been a compact disc.
Right.
And there wouldn't have been a Blu-ray, and there wouldn't have been DVD. So
now, look, something else that if we hadn't had it, there wouldn't have been anything. This is an example of the very first portable video recorder. This is actually the 2-inch quad portable recorder. So this is just the same version, the same technology that Ampex developed as the very first video recorder. Heads spinning at 16,000 RPM across the tape. You get that wrong, it would slice the tape. It was pretty bizarre. What else? We just come over here quickly and look. We've got a set of heads here. So there's an original head block. That original head block there would cost more than an entire outside broadcast truck now, and an Apple Newton as well. And if we can just pull back and show some of the other stuff that's on here, a whole heap of retro video that we can still love and cherish. So there's the message. You don't want to throw it out, hang on to it. The 1-inch machine as we throw back to A Girl and a Gun.
Back to A Girl and a Gun, coming to you live, and there's our lighting stand that you can see right there in our cameras. So that's the camera we should be on. Hello, guys.
Actually,
coming to you from Sydney.
Can we get a shot of Ethan over there with the Steadicam? So we've actually been able to. Well, they'll work out which camera to go to. We actually did the Innes Corp cross live from the other end of the exhibition there, and this is what you do these days. But to be able to do this as part of the production we've got here really shows the breadth of the tools that can be brought to bear for training the next generation. Now, it's sort of pretty expensive doing all this stuff, so if you wonder where your tax dollar is going, it's going to provide the facilities that you need to create in order to be able to train people in realistic situations.
Yeah, because this show right now, from the floor, is a collaboration of, as we mentioned, between Charles Sturt University, JMC Academy, and SIFA, Sydney Institute of Film Academy.
At Randwick TAFE, because that's a big mouthful.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a combination of students from all three colleges here behind the cameras and in the control room that we've mocked up in the OB van for today.
And look, we should certainly say this has been a wonderful experience for us, pulling this together and then throwing everybody into a hothouse and producing live television without a safety net. It's been a great experience.
It's been wonderful. Today's gone quite well, I thought.
It has. This is like you haven't seen all the paddling under the surface.
We've had a couple of hiccups along the way, but
here's the rundown, and
we sort of half-stayed to that.
It worked. Well, look, before we go in much further, we ought to probably do a little bit of thanks. I certainly want to thank my SMPTE colleagues who just trusted that this was going to work, even though they had no idea really what I was doing or what I was organising. As we pulled everybody together.
And thank you for those who came and joined us on the couch as well.
Oh, yes, certainly. So Pat and Barbara, who are a part of the governance structure of SMPTE. Really thank you to all the colleges, to Charles Sturt University. So we had 60 or 70 people here from CSU and the truck, and equipment just kept appearing from everywhere. And the same thing from JMC Academy, who brought down the gear that we used to create the hosting stage outside broadcast.
Yes, and most of all of the last 3 days worth has been done on their gear.
Yep.
Their vision switching and everything.
And the set here and some of the other technology we're using have all come from Randwick. This is the set that we use as a regular production for A Girl and a Gun.
So if you haven't seen our show before, this is what it looks like in our regular studio.
We even bought Veronica.
And this is Veronica, by the way, who we haven't properly introduced.
We haven't introduced Veronica. This is everybody. This is Veronica. Yes. Veronica. This is
everybody.
Veronica is the strong, silent type.
She's the girl to our gun.
Yeah. We had a great deal of help here from the convention centre, the Sydney Convention and Exhibition Centre, which, of course, after this SMPTE, will be no more for 2 or 3 years. So the next time you see us...
Yeah, they're pulling all this down.
Absolutely. it won't look like this anymore.
Where's it going to happen in a couple of years' time?
The next one's going to be, the next SMPTE exhibition is going to be over at the temporary facility at Glebe Island.
Glebe Island, okay.
And, we'll show you how that happens. We might even show it being built. We'll go down there and show what it takes to create.
And that's going to be the centenary 2015. Okay.
It will. Well, excitement, but hey, this is television. You go with what you have. Expertise Events, who organise the show and the conference on behalf of SMPTE and pull all that together, they have been great. They've just kept making things happen. I can't speak highly enough of them. Gerard Hosier for bringing all that gear. Yeah, he's over there. He's over there riffing.
And thank you, Gerard, for all of this gear as well.
Yeah, this is more of Gerard's gear.
Yes.
The exhibitors, whose stands we just took over, a team turns up in black shirts and, hello, we'd like to do an interview. And they were really great.
And all of those packages, some of which you saw today, we're going to be rolling out as part of A Girl and a Gun over the next few weeks. Yeah. So you see all of the stuff that all of these college students have done.
Now, two very strong thank yous to, firstly, Telstra, and it turned out to be a whole heap of different groups within Telstra. So it was Telstra and Origin Media who worked together to provide us with the live feed that we've been driving for the last 3.5 days. So the content has just been playing out, which has just been wonderful. And everybody's just said what fabulous pictures they are, probably because they're just fabulous pictures. They've just been really good. And finally, to Switch Media, who have hosted the packages as we've put them up, and they will continue to be available on the simpte.org.au website.
Right, and we're going to wrap it up there, I reckon.
Well, and then there's Phil and me, who've just basically done very little except sit here on the couch doing not very much.
If you want to keep track of A Girl and a Gun, you can find us at agirlandagun.tv, tweet us at A Girl and a Gun, find our YouTube, our Girl and a Gun podcast on YouTube.
And something very important, this is about education. Learn, go and get a qualification, get in touch with an organisation near you that can help you come to grips with and learn in a formal way what makes television work.
Yeah, and you can also email us if you need to at Veronica at A Girl and a Gun. But that's it for us.
Phil?
And for everyone else here, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.